that lady of the trees wanted to raise her hands to the sky and dance to his sweet voice singing. And she turned herself into a woman.
Tasha Faye Evans, who represents herself on stage in a play called She Stands Still. Leslie Ewan, who represents a racially hybrid body in her play An Understanding of Brown. And those two playwrights use their autobiographical source, stage their racial hybridity in ways that are very different than what was available for Pauline Johnson as a performer in the 19th century. My identification with the character, my identification with the questions that she was going through, my identification with the secrecy and the shame within her family system. For me, I felt like part of my story was being represented through this woman's story, and it was deeply moving.
I was 4 weeks old when my dad took me to Nanaimo to introduce me to my great-grandmother, and they say that she held me for the whole weekend. You know, we're talking about a time back in the 70s where no one, well, in my family, where no one wanted to be Native, no one wanted to remember that part of themselves. And so I imagine that it was just part of the way to forget where you're from is to forget to visit your mother, forget to visit your grandmother.
It was too painful for them and for all of us to remember someone that we never knew, and to have to live with I never knew my grandma, and because my grandma was the squaw, the Indian that nobody wanted to remember. Didn't know it affected me that much. So that's what her play did.
The trees and the rivers and the mountains are our ancestors. For me, I call this tree the Lady of the Trees, because here's this giant cedar tree, and at the top there's this woman, and she's standing with her hands to the sky, and behind her is an old-growth forest, and in front of her she stands guard against this clear cut. It became a metaphor for the genocide and the destruction of the clear cutting of our own culture.
That video of that play to me was very, very powerful. I just feel that the life force has been completely taken out of the land by cutting the earth. It's like a deep rape.
I was just a girl, was 13, when I gave birth to my first.
Well, one of the troubling ways that racial slurs have been perpetuated, even in Indian country, is the idea that Métis people are the products of rape. And this way of looking at Métis identity impacts people who are Métis, because if that's how people view your identity, it's painful. We have to look at the real consequences of rape. A lot of women in colonial spaces are raped by the colonizers. And I hope that we can rescue some stories about how people came together, French and Native or Scottish and Native, that are much more uplifting and much more empowering for those of us who are the results of that contact.